And, after the Cowboy game, I guess he comes on and tries to do highlights. Yeah. Why they're letting an 80-year-old struggle through these?
It's been going on for 30 years.
And he has it. Can't understand what he's saying.
The age doesn't really matter with Terry.
It's all a bunch of vowels, no consonants.
I got to be. And there was a time, and my grandpapa used to tell me, he fell off a pole, landed on the dog. The dog survived. My grandpapa didn't make it.
Thank you for that story, Terry. That was really relevant to the football game.
Dak Prescott, touchdown.
Yeah, you told the grandpappy story when we just watched a pick six on the TV.
Well, I thought it was important, Gordo. I thought there's always stuff. Am I getting even more? I've been watching Landman. You watch Landman? I watch Landman. Jerry was on Landman.
Jerry. The other thing is like, how you doing?
There he is.
Save all this gold for the actual podcast, guys.
We're doing the podcast.
No.
Oh, no, I can't read that.
The Musers, the podcast. Episode 18, Impersonations, with our special guest, Frank Caliendo.
Welcome to The Musers, the podcast. I'm Craig Miller, a.k.a. Dr. J.
I'm George Dunham. I don't have a nickname.
And I'm Gordon Keith, a.k.a. Dr. J.
And this
a little
is
confusing.
This is episode 18. I think we're going to have a lot of fun with this episode because we're going to talk about the art of impersonations. But before we dive into today's topic and before we are joined by today's special guest, let's award our Letter of the Week trophy. And at some point between now and Christmas of 2030, this segment might actually be sponsored.
That'd be something.
That's what we're aiming for.
We got so much great feedback on episode 17 when we talked about writing things out in life. Most of the time for little or no reason at all.
We found out we're not alone.
Oh, man.
No, we touched on a topic. We grabbed a live wire on that one.
And our letter of the week comes to us from Justin. Musers, loving the podcast. As a 20-year listener to your radio show, I'm enjoying listening to you explore new spaces. The Writing It Out episode, I'm sure, resonated with many people. The wife and I have been talking about doing the financial barnacle audit for about the past 2 years. This weekend, we actually sat down, got out the laptops, and logged in to all of our credit card accounts and fought through the drudgery of the password twister you have to play.
Password twister.
To log into and on all of the accounts to cancel. We had dual gym memberships, duplicate streaming accounts, and we were paying for storage for a relative that we helped downsize. Long story short, we saved about $350 a month by doing the exercise. As parents of 3 teenagers staring down the barrel of college, saving $4,000 annually is going to go a long way. Craig, it made us feel imminently, as you say, squared away. But before you think I'm on my high horse, don't worry. I have fence gate instability like George, ice maker issues, and a taped up hole in the ceiling of my master bedroom where I stepped through the attic.
Oh, gosh.
And that's been that way for 2 years now. He says, I think another factor is we have decision fatigue. Think about the hundreds of micro decisions we make every day as a spouse, parent, professional. And by the time I get home, I just want to eat a cheeseburger and drink an IPA.
Yeah.
My kind of guy.
Why do decisions wear us out so much? When we know it's a decision that we want to make, I don't want this service anymore.
Right.
But yet you put off, I don't want to think about making the decision that I already know what I want to decide.
I've got to work on that. I just got home from work.
I just got home from work.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just so ready for humans to be over with.
I'm glad that he taped his ceiling, though. That makes me feel better.
They're stepping through it. That's like a sitcom. Yeah, and remember what Nick Saban said? We're probably going to hear from Nick Saban here momentarily, but what he said was that he ate the same thing for lunch every single day, so that's one less decision he had to make.
Steve Jobs used to do that too.
Makes sense.
He would wear the same thing all the time and not acknowledge the same kid every single day.
So thank you to Justin for our letter of the week. If you'd like to email us, please do so. Our address is themuserspod@gmail.com.
Indeed.
Now to the topic of this episode 18, impersonations. We're going to discuss the art of impersonating somebody, what goes into developing one, what kind of ear you need, etc. The three of us have been doing a radio show together for 30 years, and I have had the great fortune of working with these two guys, George and Gordon, who have the ability to do some phenomenal impersonations. Gordo's catalog is massive.
Huge.
George has a very solid list of great voices that he does as well.
But not as impressive.
No, it's not. I admit that. It's not nearly as impressive.
And the three of us have, over the years, gotten to know one of the best impressionists in the business, and we thought we'd invite him on this podcast to join this conversation about impersonations. We've had him on the radio show many, many times. You've seen him over the years on Fox NFL Sunday, Mad TV, his own show, Frank TV. We say hello to our old buddy, the great Frank Caliendo.
Hey.
All right. Always introduced like a magician. The great.
How are you?
Can I jump in on that writing it out, the episode 2? That hits home for me too. And I know that's not that's not what this episode is about. But we just did some of that. Like I had double car washes.
Yeah.
There were so many things financially that I looked at, and part of it was, and I was listening to your intro. Part of it was, you have to make that decision, but you don't want to deal with it. Like you just put it off and put it off and put it off because you don't want to see how stupid you are for spending all that extra money. And it's literally hundreds, if not thousands of dollars you end up looking at. And then like I have times where I don't even look at the credit card bill because I just don't want to know how long I'm going to be married for.
How badly you've mismanaged it.
Well, it's not so much me, but I have a wife
somebody
and
else.
daughter.
Yeah. I've got that problem too. Let's talk about that sometime,
No.
Frank.
I think that's not
so,
wise.
but I just want to say that even hit home for me is pretty cool. And Craig, as far as it's funny because you called it the impersonation episode, and then you said impressionist Frank Caliendo, and I always think of impressions to be different than impersonations.
Okay.
Impersonations and well, I'm going to use this for your listenership that would make 100% sense. When Gordo does fake Jerry, there is an original fake Jerry that sounds exactly like Jerry Jones, and then there's the creepy Jerry, which goes off on a bit of a tangent,
right.
if not a massive tangent. That creepy Jerry is the impression to me. The first one can be considered an impression, but it's more of a replica. It's more of a sound-alike. But once you get into it and create the character around it and get it further and further, it's impersonations fit inside of the the impression world, but impersonation is very specific and almost like impersonating a person. Like when you go to Vegas and you see the guy doing the Cher impression for impersonation for a whole show. So to me, it's a little bit different. There's more of adding character of your own to the voice when it's an impression overall, a really funny impression, as opposed to impersonations just kind of doing the person exactly as they are.
Yeah, it's like the difference between photorealism and a caricature or a cartoon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
That makes sense.
That was a very quick way to say exactly what I said.
I thought I'd come in there and save you some words.
Yeah, much better. Yeah, much better. I tell you what, my grandpappy used to.
It's Terry
Terry
Bradshaw.
Bradshaw telling us an irrelevant story.
So all three of you, take us back to the beginning. Do you remember how old you were when you started trying to impersonate famous people or people you knew?
Yeah, for me, it was around 7 or 8, and it was probably just a funny bit for my parents and their friends to see a 7-year-old impersonating Keith Jackson or Howard Cosell, which back in our day, that's who everyone impersonated, and you talk like this, and then you'd go, "Oh, Nelly," and that's all. You didn't have to have content, and you fast forward, and I know Gordo did this a lot growing up. But when Gordo joined our show, he brought an element that Frank has had in his act from the very beginning, and that is content to the impersonation. For me, I never really had content. It was just, hey, do a local sportscaster, and Craig and I would do that impersonation, and everyone would laugh. You didn't need a joke to go along with it. Really.
You just have the one line or the one sentence that sounded like him. Yeah. Yeah, with him, and that's kind of what Frank was talking about with impressions. You just expand the cartoonish level of it or the caricature of it. So you take some, you try to find a few hook points in there where you can sink in and, okay, what does this guy sound like? It's like the fake Greg Olson that we've been doing lately. Is, to me, sounded like kind of that enthusiastic kindergarten teacher. And, so you lean into that when you find the hook on the impersonation or the impression.
Yeah.
And then you lean into that. A good example is Dana Carvey's George H.W. Bush, where he just got more and more exaggerated and you just keep amping up the heroin of the ridiculous feature that you've chosen to magnify on that person.
Yeah. What age did you start at, Gordo?
Man, I started really young, and I started impersonating like family members. We'd go to family reunions, and I had a big family from Mississippi, and so we would imitate these great uncles and aunts, and so we started impersonating them, and that's where we got into that, picking out one little trait of someone and just seeing how far we could take that one trait to the maximum.
Yeah.
And it would crack up my parents, and of course my brother and sister. And they were good at voices too, and so we would just, the whole car ride back home from Mississippi spend, imitating the people we had just left because they all had ridiculous voices.
So that's what, you're like 5 to 6 years old?
Yeah,
at that
yeah.
point? Yeah, I just wanted an age so I can have the youngest. I started at 2.
Oh my goodness!
Did you really?
No, I just heard other kids crying. I was, and I would imitate their cry. For me, I think it was probably there was a little bit of it. The first I can really remember was in probably middle school to high school, though, really getting into it more. I'm sure I did it before then, but I remember just making fun of Friends. There was this guy, Darren Barsh, whose his nostrils always flared when he combed his hair, and he had that comb in the back pocket, and he'd feather his hair back, and he had this cool guy breathe-in thing that happened, and the nostrils flared. And then I had a coach. He was the geography teacher, U.S. history teacher. We would get into geography. He was also the basketball coach. Mr. Christensen, we're going to run some laps. We're going to shoot free throws after we run laps because you're tired. That's simulating the game. So I would do that in our class. He'd be like, we're going to go to our resident map expert, Mr. Caliendo. Mr. Caliendo, can you show us where the United States is? I'd point to the blue. Sit down, Mr. Caliendo. That's enough. So there was, I think I remember watching Saturday Night Live, and see, you guys all probably have crazy Southern or Texas types of relatives.
Yeah.
For me, I guess I was kind of, I have the Chicago Italians, but we were kind of shielded from everything to see, but I go back, and I had an uncle my Uncle Phil, he was like the mafia with dairy. He'd be like getting angry. You can't get cheese in Chicago. We're not going through. Like, wait, why are you upset? Right? They're trying to get the cheese for Engie. There was some of that, but to me, it really got going more in middle school, high school, to where I'm sure there was more before that, but I was a very, very quiet kid early and shy until somewhere around 5th, 6th grade. So my relatives were always like, I can't believe you do this for a living. You were just a weird little kid. I'm like, well, I'm still a weird semi-adult. So,
well, part of it is also, puberty kicks in, and in middle school, when you find that you can crack people up or command an audience and get female attention with jokes and humor. And then school is just a prison setting, so you're captive in there. And if you can imitate the guards, you're going to bust up the prisoners, right?
Yeah, well, we used to, traveling baseball teams, and then we'd be in the lobby. I remember being in the lobbies of the hotels when we were playing baseball, and I would kind of hold court there. It was more just me being an idiot, thinking back, and not tons of impressions. But I would do the batting stances of guys. I remember doing it. We would always do Willie McGee, and remember him from the St. Louis Cardinals, where you try and hit the ball to hit the plate and then beat it out. It was that awkward stance. So. Yeah, I remember doing that. My brother used to throw batting practice to Craig Counsell in Milwaukee. So we would do Craig's stance got weirder and weirder and weirder, but I remember doing little bits of that when we were younger too. So it was a lot of physical stuff to go with the voice, which I always think, you guys have to do theater of the mind as your primary goal all the time.
Yeah.
For me, a lot of times, even when I don't have the voice of an impression, I can find the face and mannerisms to fake it well enough that it'll work on stage and sell. And it's even a bigger cheat when you can dress up like the person and make the face. That's half of sketch comedy is just on TV. It's how many times have you watched something on Saturday Night Live going, or any sketch TV show and going, well, that's a pretty good impression, but man, he looks exactly like him. That really sells it.
Yeah, and your W face is just always cracks me up because
Squinted eyes.
Yeah,
it's one of them, man. It's a triangulification of the.
and I bet you it's like once you get that W face down for someone like you who's so good at facial impersonations, it's like you can't do the voice unless you do that 2 seconds before, go into the face and squint the eyes.
See, to me, it helps set up the character. The mouth tells you how the person talks. The eyes tell you how the person thinks. So when you watch a person's mouth, how their mouth forms, what they do in between the words, if they make little sounds or have a tick of some sort, that really helps you to learn how the person articulates their words. And then the eyes, when I'm talking, that's just getting into the character of the person. If it's Jeff Goldblum, it's looking like a painting in a haunted house, and the eyes are darting back and forth, looking, watching you. When you watch somebody do Donald Trump, what do they do? They do the fishy face. It's the like in my act, it's like looking into an aquarium and mimicking the fish. So
Right.
Fishy in the brook. Now, Nemo, he's a bad guy. We're always trying to find him. We can't find him.
Sure.
Is it a?
I just thought of a joke that I wasn't going to do.
We got a way to find him.
No.
Oh, geez.
We can find him.
Is it a musical thing with you guys too? With me, it was like I was trying to hit a note.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
the
for an
first
impersonation,
reaction that I got in school was I was asked something about why I didn't have my homework, and a very dated reference, did Curly from the Three Stooges, because I'm a victim of circumstance, and everyone just died laughing.
You did not break that out.
That's going to come back. I think Curly's coming back.
It killed back in the day. I mean,
But the fact that you did that, just to pull that out and use that's like a movie.
yeah. And then square dancing, I would do the Curly backup kick, where he would back himself up by kicking, and it destroyed.
But yeah, you're right in that there is such musicality, I think, that goes along with impressions, because if you can get the pitch of the person's voice, that is huge to be able to pitch match someone's voice.
Well, I define that, or it's even called it that. It is like playing music. It's playing the notes of the person. It's playing a melody. What are the notes? Are they eighth notes, quarter notes, whatever? That's how I break things down for people like on the internet. If I do the Robert Downey Jr., which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and in the middle there's a burp, so that
Exactly.
So
that cadence.
The cadence, the speech pattern of the person. How many Christopher Walkens have you heard? You've heard low, you've heard high, you've heard it in the middle, but you know who it is just by that. So the pitch can be a little bit off. When you nail the pitch, that's like when you're at the upper echelon of somebody doing an impression. But you don't even have to get that all the time. Case in point with the fake Jerry, or for me, Madden became that way too, where I was just doing that, those types of things, where it's the sounds and the goofiness that happens within it. So did Madden ever do that? Not really, but he kind of started that a little bit. He'd get into it, and then I would just push it to the point where there was this actually a show that was in Chicago called the Giggle Snort Hotel. It was like public.
I used to watch that show.
Oh, you did watch the Giggle Snort?
Yeah.
Well, there was a character named Blob that came in on like a pedestal. Blob was like this.
Hey, can I talk like this? I
Yeah.
remember Blob.
Yeah. That's Madden. That's my Madden came. I didn't realize it till years later, but it came from Blob.
So along those lines, I'd like to know what each of you think is your most dead-on impression, just from a pitch standpoint, from having the voice down, because I have an idea for all of you.
Okay.
Like for George, and Frank, I don't know if you've heard George do his Nick Saban, but he recently dusted that off on our show, and it's so perfect that I got blown up after that bit aired on our show.
Well, let me cut you off right there, because with Saban, he's got a cadence, all right? And he puts a lot of K's and all rights in there. All right, so there's the cadence. That's number one. That's number one with him. And you got to repeat that, stop some things, correct people while you're talking, and kind of swallow your words just a little bit. And then you got Nick Saban.
That's perfect.
And it's a note. He hits that note, and it doesn't really change too much.
God, it's so good.
I love that.
That is dead on.
I ain't
Gordo,
following that.
I've always thought your Nolan Ryan was, it's like talking to Nolan.
Yeah, on the phone. I always like masking these things with the phone. That's the trick that we always do
Not today.
on the radio station. But, so Nolan, he's talking, and he's always flattening out right in there and talking all like, no, I can't exactly sound like him right now. But, yeah, Nolan, that worked because I'd never listened to Nolan talk before until we ran into him at whatever that event was, and he told us that crazy story about battling snow monkeys, which was such a collage of insanity that I left that place, doing the Nolan voice and that. But yeah, most of my impersonations are not very accurate, I would say. Not like Frank's.
I don't know about that.
Well, I don't know, man.
See,
you can nail the tone and the cadence so many times, though.
Yeah, I think you have Greg Olson down. It sounds exactly like him. I think you have Jason Kidd down. I think you have Bruce Bochy down. I think they all sound really
I remember
identical.
hearing your Bochy. When I heard your Bochy, I was like, that's fantastic. Like most of the things Gordo does, I'm like, wow, that's. But you have a way with words too, Gordon, that you have such access to such a vocabulary. Like most of my stuff, it remains pretty simple. I think it's just because of who I am. Are you a reader by any chance?
Yeah, I was a big reader in my former days.
Yeah, so I stopped at Clifford the Big Red Dog. I turned that book report in like 9 times. So I do think when you have access to more words, which I'm proving I don't right now, explaining this.
More words, wordification.
We're trying to find the next word.
I talk about that in my act. I like to just compare and contrast people, and I'll get to probably my best impression. But with like the jokes I do, and I always try to stay middle of the line politically, just not to make anybody mad. And that's just the way I like to do it. But we went from George W. Bush to President Obama, who could try to talk you into anything.
We are articulating this in a forensic matter that will seem contrary to what we're trying to ascertain in perpetuity.
And you're sitting there and you turn into Owen Wilson. Yeah, that's really, really great. Yeah. Which was just the opposite of Bush. Like,
Well, I whatever he just said.
yeah.
Yeah, 3 came to my mind when thinking about you, Frank. One was Bush. Another was a guy you just did, Robert Downey Jr., and the third I thought of was your Al Pacino. I think all 3 of those are just so dead on.
That's a pretty good one at times, even though I was just doing a podcast with Jay Moore, and Jay crushed it. And I was just trying to get stuff out quickly, and his sounded so much better. I got a lot of feedback.
It's like when I do, and I always text Gordo, when I hate trying to do a Jerry Jones somewhere because everybody in the world, it seems, I can't believe there are that many P1s, guys.
I know.
And then they
everywhere.
start arguing amongst themselves about how much better Gordo's Jerry Jones is than mine. So it's not just that it's better, which it is, and I have no problem with it. When somebody has something that great, you just go, bow down. But
I
for me,
doubt very seriously my Jerry's better than yours. I think it's just
it
people
is.
being.
No, I think it is.
It's underdog syndrome is what it is. Because you're the great one, and there's there's this other guy. Gordon does it.
No. I can fully admit when somebody has something better. I find almost every impression I have, somebody has one that's the same person that's better. But it's like, when it's like having just a ton of them in your bag kind of helps you. I always think too, if you can do 5 different impressions of people from the same show or same movie, that's way harder to do than 5 random impressions that could be from anywhere, because you have to narrow in. Now, so back to mine. I would say Gruden that's become one that, I could pretty much talk like him anytime I want. Right, guys? Get into the angry one. I tell you what, man, it's driving me crazy, man. So that there was a time where Barkley, because I was doing so much Charles, there was really a lot of time where I was doing that over and over and over. And that got, first of all, Ernie. It's always first of all, Ernie.
Yeah.
Second, first of all.
Always bringing Ernie into it.
And
somehow.
The second thing is also first of all.
First of all, yeah. It's 5 first of alls in a row. First of all, Ernie. Second, first of all. Third, first of all. Fourth, first of all. Well, that's the fourth of all. No, it's the fourth, first of all.
It sounds just like him.
So that one,
incredible.
And then, there's the different Madden versions. Madden was,
you say the things that he tried to say and do the things that he would do, and between those two sets of things, you pretty much hit everything.
So amazing.
So that's the impersonation of Madden, and then it became, these guys doing these guys great, So I once did a call in with a friend who's an incredible impressionist as well, John Holmberg here in Phoenix, who's one of my best friends, and we once did on the release of Madden. I called in as John Madden acting completely real, talking about this game, it's a great game, and we really put a lot of time into it. And then I called in 2 minutes later. He's like, Frank, you just missed Madden. I'm like, I can't believe it. Did he sound like this? No, he was much more subdued, and the audience had no idea it was me as both of them.
Oh, that's awesome.
Great.
So there's that element of, that's how, just to prove how different it is to people, and he never told his audience that. So it's a fun kind of thing you can do. I'm trying to think. So there, over the years, Pacino was originally one of my favorites that I really worked hard enough to care about, and wanted to get it different and just get it to the highest level. It's a lot of times it's just kind of lazy. Now, the way the internet works, to me, this is very different for you guys on the radio, because you have to expand. When George was talking about using almost sound bites of people, I always looked at it as like being a producer on a radio show that could just press a button, and that's where you throw the line in. Boom, there you go. Like, you just throw that in as a piece to get an extra laugh in a story, as opposed to a Gordo call-in character. I know, George, you do some of them too, but the call-in character that really just goes for 4 minutes, and you're just kind of taken into this other world of, this character is just blowing me away. It's almost, there's a woman by the name of Marcella Lentz Pope that I've met through stuff on like social media, who does all these impressions of women, and she calls it being fluent in a character.
Yeah.
Like, you can talk
That
as
makes sense.
much as you want and say whatever you want as the character, as opposed to just being able to mimic a couple lines. And that's what I do online a lot in the social media world, is just saying the same word 20 times in 20 different characters, and then in 100 takes of each one, then finding the best one and then editing it down. That's way easier to do than talking as a character for 4 minutes.
How do you rate your George W. Bush? Because I think that one, to me, is just,
you could fool poop.
Yeah.
Well, on a
that.
scale of 1 to 5, it's somewhere between 15 and 12.
Yeah, I think that one, especially if I don't practice it much, so it would be one if I really honed in on it and started just trying to nail it as much as good as you're saying it is, which I appreciate. I think it could be even better, but it's just that it's kind of old, so it's like
Right.
I don't want to take that. These people don't realize how much time these things take.
Yeah.
you walk around just talking as the person trying to say the line for hours, if not days. When I used to do shows, in colleges, when I was performing in colleges, when I was, in my early 20s, mid 20s, somewhere around there, I know early 20s, I would just be in the car alone, just talking and just saying things and working on voices as I drove. And that's when I got most of my voices, was as I was alone, just driving around. Now you get a family and the kids are running around or whatever. It's not as much of that practice.
Yeah, that was going to be one of my questions for all of you, is how much time do you spend on a particular voice? I know it probably differs and what you're getting ready for, but how much work goes into it?
So I'm kind of curious as to, Frank, I don't know if have you ever been diagnosed with ADHD or anything like that?
I believe I 100% have it.
Okay.
Like
and
if we talk about
have
reading,
too.
but if we talk about reading, anytime I've ever tried to read, I'm about 3 pages in and I've done 45 other things with my brain.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I
Right.
try to read, it even happens with audiobooks. That's when I knew I had a real problem. Like, how's my mind wandering while it's talking to me? That's a bigger deal.
Because I've noticed that, like one part of ADHD, a lot of times people have stems, people rock or they rub their leg or they do something. And there's also vocal stemming, where you just keep repeating a phrase over and over again, or you keep singing the same bit of a song over and over again. And I find myself doing a lot of voices that, like a voice, for whatever reason, I don't know what causes it, but that character is just with me for the day.
Yeah.
And they're narrating everything I'm doing. And they're talking, and then I have to keep talking in their voice. And
I
it's
think
just
that's
like
the best way to do it. Yeah.
It's just on repeat in my brain.
It'll drive you crazy.
Drives me absolutely crazy. And if I don't kind of say it out loud, it drives me even crazier. So I'm trying to offload it by talking out loud as that character. And a lot of times it'll be, I just watched a press conference of some dude, and he had such an identifiable way of speaking to me that I have to keep talking like him the rest of the day. And then, lo and behold, an impersonation will come out of that.
Yeah, then
That's
once you
what-
find that pitch, then you can recall it. But until you have that day,
Yeah, and I've noticed Giorgio will do. You and I have talked several times about when the Cowboys will get a new coach, defensive coordinator, whatever, and we listen to a press conference with him, and we'll both perk up and look at each other because we hear something in that dude's voice, and we go, "There's something there. This guy's impersonatable."
and somehow, because I kind of talk like this anyway, I came up with Wade Phillips.
Yeah, Wade
That's all
Phillips.
you did. And,
I like hamburgers.
It's kind of
Hamburgers
fun.
are good.
I like hamburgers. And all
Nobody
that.
gives me any credit.
It's so funny because you started the voice, and I immediately got the visualization of Wade Phillips. I saw him.
Wow,
Like that's
a compliment coming from you.
Yeah, no, those are the ones where when you see the person as the impression is being spoken, those are my favorites, when you know exactly who it is. I always tell the audience what's coming. I didn't used to do that. I used to let them discover it and figure it out, but the laughs would come and trickle in and take too long. And I wanted the boom laugh. So I tell them I did the speech. I'm going to tell them what I'm going to tell them. I tell them, and then I tell them what I told them. And it just worked for comedy better that way. But that's one of those impressions where I hear that and I just immediately saw the belly and the pants, maybe slightly
Maybe
feathered
hitched him up a little
gray
bit
hair.
there while you're talking, and yeah. And
I
then
just-
Gordo hit the note of Jason Garrett, which was very monotone.
Yeah, I didn't think he was impersonatable.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I guess y'all challenged me to do that one.
But
Do you have a
Garrett,
Jason Garrett? I recently thought about doing him.
Yeah, I don't even know how accurate it is because I haven't heard him talk in a while. I know he's like one of these big broadcasters now, is on all the time, but I haven't
he's
seen
trying
him.
to talk louder now, so do a
Yeah,
loud.
he's
Garrett
always
now.
talking loud, and he's always has the voice where he's always talking, and he's trying to talk to you, and then he comes down like this. He always starts up, and then he's talking, and he's real excited, and then he comes back down.
He's got the John C. Reilly bubble throat.
Right? Yes, absolutely.
It's in here. It's in there.
Like I always talk about,
That
if you can tighten up the middle of your throat,
did you touch my drum set? That's in there. So Jason Garrett's in there somewhere, and
he's trying to sound. I don't know if he's trying to sound, but he's trying to have some gravitas.
Right.
So he's really pushing it,
and he doesn't naturally have it. And he's pushing it too much.
And
so he's got to really push it. That it's close. Ray Romano was in there a little bit.
Yeah.
He's
George's
in there,
right. He also does that repeat thing. Garrett always talks about process, and when we talk about process, what do we mean? We mean a process.
process.
In all
that's the
three
thing.
phases.
When you get around other people, you can workshop it so much that's what my friend John and I do all the time. Is we just go back and forth, and then they kind of diverge again. But we'll have something like when we're doing Romo, we're both doing Romo. Oh, Jim, oh, that's a Jim. It's the revving up the car. Oh, Jim, here we go, Jim. Oh, Jim, it's amazing and incredibly amazing. Here we go, Jim.
Boy, that's spot on. And okay, we talked about old impersonations. What do you do? We do the really cheap trick on a radio show where if we're impersonating someone and then unfortunately they pass.
Indeed.
We put echo on their voice and they
Just
join
make
us
them from heaven.
From heaven.
We don't want to waste a good impersonation,
But like,
so they can still join us.
Because you do it kind of tongue in cheek, though, too, right? I mean, everything. Your whole
it's
show
very
is tongue in cheek. You know, if you were trying to pass that off as this is our current content, like it's almost like you're making fun of yourselves for doing it.
It's a parody of a radio show at some point.
Yeah, and people get that. I mean, that's the fun of what the show is. There are people who try. That's Rich Little today is still doing those same impressions he did 50 years ago and trying to sell them as current. You guys, you're not doing that. You're like, well, here's our little wink to the audience. We still want to do this. Here's how we're going to pull
I don't
it
know.
off.
We've had Larry carry on several times just because Henry's been gone for, like 25 years.
Just his relative that has a similar name.
Yeah, Larry.
I've done that too. Where I said that I got an uncle. He just sounds a lot like Al Pacino for some reason. It's just a way to do an impression that to pretend that it seems. But Larry Carey, that's very funny.
So if each of you were going to the World Championships and you had to take one voice, which voice would you take?
I would take my own, Craig, because I'm a person in this world.
I guess I'd take this one, baby, because I won a national championship in '91.
That's right. Do you know this story, Frank?
Is that Biden? Who is this? Who you're doing?
I can't believe you're doing that. We're in a safe space here.
I know, but I just didn't know who
these
you're
are the
doing.
rules, and we're not going to do that today.
Yeah,
Right?
Frank, did you know that George won a Dick Vitale National Sound-Alike contest?
I didn't. Maybe.
Well, it was ridiculous. We just
it's in college, right?
No, I was out of college. I was in radio, and I was, I guess, in my mid-20s or something like that. And I was doing a basketball game, and they had a camera there that said ESPN on it and said, "Do your best, Dick Vitale." So I did like a 2-minute routine into the camera and thought nothing of it. And then I got notified that I won a trip to the Final Four, that I was the national champion and a chance to compete against other winners. And then I won that one too at a bar, and I was up against a guy from Michigan, so he had home bar advantage, I guess, because he had all of his buddies there rooting for him. But I beat him, baby. I got a year's supply of Diet Pepsi, and I met the girls too, man.
And didn't your impersonation involve the eye falling out? And
No, that was you that always wanted to have his eye shooting out. And now, see, I feel weird about doing Dick Vitale now.
Yeah,
because he's been in a battle with health. So
way to go.
Well, you do. Yeah, just do it when he was younger. You just do an impression when you don't do current Dick Vitale.
Yeah.
But I was on with Jim Valvano's brother in Louisville, and I had never really pulled off my Dick Vitale before, and magically I was on with him, and he's like, "That's the best Dick Vitale I've ever heard, other than that guy George Dunham." But it's he's got that rest. That's incredible. It's amazing. But I had a Saban for a little bit, and it goes in and out, and then I lose them. If that's
Well, that's
Yes.
your problem. All right?
Yeah, no,
That's something
happens.
you got to solve as a human.
Some days you'll have an impersonation, then some days you don't. At
Yeah.
least for me, that's the way it is.
No,
Like
it's-
some
Yeah.
days I can
No
nail
doubt.
it, and then other days I'm like, gosh, why did I ever think I could do that voice?
and then you heard George's, and I don't want to copy George's, so you got to make sure
yeah,
you do
I'll
it
cloud
differently.
the picture for you.
That's
Yeah.
the other thing. Joey Molinaro does a really great Nick Saban too, and I don't want to do his. And I was starting to work on it. This was back before COVID, and then I heard his, and I kind of quit even working at it because it was just taking over the internet for a while, or my algorithm. So I was like, I don't want to do something somebody else is really Like if I were to come in and do Saban on your show, people would be like, "What a jackass, Caliendo! That didn't go." It's like doing Jerry. I mean, it's
No,
like
they
trying to
probably
do
say,
Jerry.
finally, we have someone that sounds like Nick Saban on the show.
Okay, so George would take Vital,
Vital,
to the
I
World
guess.
Championships. Frank, Gordo, who do you guys take? What voice?
I don't know on mine.
You don't think there's one that you do
Thomas
better than the
Monahan?
others, or that you're
Who?
most proud of?
You're thinking of Ed Cohen, the guy who
Oh,
used to work
maybe Ed
promotions
Cohen,
up here. That's the other thing with me, Frank, is like a lot of my impersonations are people that no one knows about just because they worked up here for like 2 weeks and for
Right.
some
They're
reason
dead on.
I was able to impersonate them.
Yeah,
So
we
you
just turn
don't
those into
take-
characters. Yeah, if you talk about them enough, if you give a bigger setup, an impression is just a character that everybody already knows the basis of. Everybody knows the point of view of the person and stuff like that. If it's a unfamous person, you just have to set up the situation and their point of view and all that type of stuff first, and then you basically can do it as an impression, but it takes some background
Right.
defining for the audience first.
Oh, that's good. See, we could use fake Ed Cohen. You're going to give away some fan fest tickets.
See, it's dead
Yeah,
on.
thank
Everybody
you very
knows
much.
it, but everybody
Championship.
knows a guy like that. Everybody knows somebody like that. As soon as you set it up, and once the audience has heard it a couple times, then they start to just go, "Oh, that." So it's not an impression at that point; it's a character. Even though it is an impression, half of the impressions of Saturday Night Live. Remember when Mike Myers was doing "I'm verklempt"? That was his mother-in-law.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's just-
Linda Richmond.
Yeah, Linda Richmond. So for me, to get back on track, which I always take us off track, but I'm actually going to go. I thought of one that I hadn't done. It's been a long time since I'd done, but the one I would have taken back in the day is still Robin Williams.
Because
Oh,
I did,
yes, I
do the
forgot.
serious one, just just trying to talk as him regularly, not really going over the top or anything like that, just trying to emulate exactly what he sounded like. Where you grow a beard and try and win an Academy Award, that type of thing.
And then I heard Frank in the middle of that do the little Robin Williams mouth
Yeah,
swallow. He always does
Oh, yeah.
a little lip curl back in.
Little a lip bite. Biting the
That's
lips
really
off.
good.
And
You would
if
have
I-
to do Jerry Gordo.
No,
If it
if
win
I-
a world, it's been well
Really, if
received
I had to do
everywhere.
something publicly, I think that I would do the fake Nolan Ryan. I think that the Nolan Ryan, if you can give me a phone, Nolan Ryan calling at someone, I can do that. That's probably the most accurate.
There's a
one.
difference between what you would want people to hear and what is the best one. If some other people would probably have to choose for you most
Yeah,
of
true.
the time.
Yeah.
Because I would pick something. I would pick something other than a Madden or something because I just don't want it to be Madden. When Madden would be 1 through 3 probably, if not 1.
Right.
So
The Madden one was so fascinating because I had just not heard, and I'm not as plugged into sports as you guys are, so I don't know. I just not heard people imitating Madden before.
I hadn't either before I heard Frank.
yeah, I don't think I mean there were some people in local radio in DC. There was a guy that kind of did, but nobody really hit it. They just hit the essence of Madden, and they didn't have the it's. I explained it as like he's got something in his mouth. He's like it's a giant lemon that he's sucking on. He's like
and he's talking around the lemon and trying to figure out.
Yeah, it's almost like he's got a ping pong ball right in the center back of his throat.
But he's got a bigger mouth, so it's a lemon. It's a lemon flavored ping pong ball. That's what it is. There's a ping pong ball. There's a ping pong ball inside a lemon inside a cantaloupe, and that's the ping and nope. It's like a turducken. but it's with
Well, I
round
love
things.
talking about turducken.
Or any food.
Yeah, but have you changed that since he passed? Back to when someone's no longer here. How do you handle that?
He
You
puts
just
an echo on his voice.
start doing that.
No, I explain that the way I use Madden nowadays, because people want to hear it when I go on stage, I just say the impression people know me the most for is probably the John Madden, and then I talk about people asking me to do John Madden. I just have a reflex, which is boom, and that's enough for most people. So without doing the whole bit, that's basically what it is. It's kind of people know me from this. Here's a little taste of it. And I could still go back and touch on it a little bit, but it's weird if a president isn't president anymore, if a person passes away, it becomes old. That's why characters are so great, non-impression characters, because they're evergreen. Nobody knows their tenure or lifespan at all. It's not in your, stuck in your brain. Oh, that person passed away. It doesn't even matter.
How big was Barkley for you, for the general public? I would think after Madden passes away, Barkley is so present on TV and such a
they used to
character.
have me on TNT some. When I would go on with Charles, that was the best. And there was a time where it was going back and forth, and I was like, that's pretty close. I'm not sure which one of us is talking right now. That's when I'm like, okay, I'm pretty good at this one. When you can hear that, but Barkley was massive when I had the show on TBS and he was at TNT, or so that was really big. And I'm trying to think of Madden, Gruden. Those are probably the biggest ones.
And George does Michael Irvin. Y'all both can do a black guy. And this is you're doing Barkley and he's doing Michael Irvin. Do you ever feel weird about doing that?
I do.
George feels weird about doing Michael
I don't
Irvin.
know if Frank does, but I do. I do. But I always bring it back to Troy, and it's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
So
What do you
once
think,
again,
Frank?
Michael Irvin has the two modes: the sensitive, quiet talking mode,
Yeah, very sensitive. Stumbles a little bit.
and then he has when he gets excited mode, and he starts.
Don't you talk about the Cowboys like that. And you have to go a little bit off mic if you're going to do something like that.
Yeah, and then there's the talking business, and then
and that's why we turned him into a jet boat trying to start a
let me try
I'm right
That's
behind you, Tony.
jet boat.
Tony Romo's right behind you. Oh, yeah. Just trying
This is that Robo jet boat. This is that Robo jet boat.
Calm down, Michael. Calm down.
Yeah, it's quarterback though.
He is.
He ain't Troy, but he's Romo.
Yeah, but Frank, you said you've done Barkley for Barkley. I know
Yeah,
George has done
is it
Irvin
a-
for Irvin.
Yeah, he's
Oh,
not
yeah.
offended by it. He thinks it's
No,
hilarious.
and most people, I mean, there. I guess there's a weirdness. I felt, yeah, but there were black people that actually said, "Why don't you do any impressions of black people to me?"
Yeah.
and that's kind of what made me turn it around and go, "I'm just going to do everybody, and then just take whatever flack somebody throws at me."
If you can nail a voice, you can nail a voice. And I think that
Yeah.
everyone enjoys that. Okay, another one that you do, Morgan Freeman is, I think, one of
Oh,
your
my God.
great
Right.
voices, too.
Yeah, that's one of those that you go back and listen to, and there are times where I might be able to fool somebody.
So great, the voice of God.
But his voice is completely changed as well. I mean, he's 80 something years old now. That's the same with, like, if you listen to most of the Trump impressions right now, Trump sounds nothing like what the Trump impression.
He's very quiet. It's very library. You've been to the library?
That's
They've
good.
got tremendous books. They've got great books, and inside those books, they have great words. Some of the best words filling up the books. They're very.
So it's like, what does the person sound like currently? I mean, a person in their 40s, you can listen to Trump 40 years ago, sounds nothing like what he sounds like today.
Yeah.
Nowhere near as whispery, raspy. Even when he ran the first time, I did a sketch with him for Fox before he ran for president. It was when it was like,
I've decided to run for president. I've decided to not run for president. I've decided to not run for president. I've decided to not run for president. I'm not really sure if I'm running or not, but I'm probably going to win. Even if I don't run, I'm going to win. I'm going to win.
Have any of the three of you ever had someone react negatively, come up to you or get a hold of you and say they didn't like it?
I've had a person who wouldn't look at me in the eyes. How great is that?
Jim Rome?
Walking, incredible. Just
Really?
walking at the Super Bowl and would not make eye contact.
Wow.
Not cool.
Oh my gosh, that's so good.
That is so good.
Great.
Great. That's got me there. Great take. Have a take and don't stop. Gonna grab the fish wrap. You're in the jungle.
And he had the great thing where he would just have people fax him stuff, but it was fake
Huge
faxes.
fax.
It was like,
No more OJ jokes, okay? Okay, we got a fax here. Dear Jim, what is up with Orenthal? Guys, I said no more faxes about Orenthal. Let me finish reading the entire fax slowly.
That's a
Like he
good
would-
voice.
he would put
That
it
is
off
such
on
a good
somebody else.
voice.
Yeah, and it's staccato.
And it's up here. What a great way to do this.
By the way, I noticed, there's similarities too. And when you're doing Greg Olson, which you take a little bit and go caricature with it, but that kindergarten teacher is so perfect because that's exactly the point of view of who he is. But he is, to me, I'm trying to think of the right word.
Words.
My words, but he's kind of to me entertaining Tom Brady. Like Tom Brady, when you listen to him, he's got almost the same voice.
Yeah.
It's a very similar voice, but it is if you took Tom Brady and turned him into a kindergarten teacher, which I obviously can't use because that's your thing, Gordo. But that is
Use it. I don't care.
that's footnote, Gordon Keith. But that is a. Gosh, that's one of those when you said that, like, what'd you say? Overexcited kindergarten teacher?
Yeah, he's like an overexcited. He really wanted to make that, but he just couldn't quite get there.
Romo has a little bit of that. Like
Yeah.
he's so
Exasperated, yeah.
He forgets he doesn't have the reference. That's like a car going. That's like going 0 to 60 in a car that goes 0 to 60 really, really fast, Jim.
So
He
George
puts
and,
himself out there and doesn't get to it sometimes.
George and Gordo, ever had anybody say they hated the impersonation?
No,
you know-
I think most people are flattered. Like Jerry, when you're around Jerry, he said, "Hey, do the fake
I'm
Jones."
Impressed that Jerry finds it flattering. I don't
because
get
of
it
some of the things
because
that fake Jerry says.
I
yeah.
have never quite understood that whole phrase that imitation's the sincerest form of flattery. I think that's such bullshit. Like if somebody came up and was able to do a really accurate me and they caricaturized it a little bit, right? And they took some of my features and everything. I think everyone would feel a little bit, that makes me self-conscious.
yeah, yeah,
Right?
right.
Right? That's the other thing, right? Always saying right.
I think there is a little bit of that, but it just depends on if you have I don't want to say, maybe it's the confidence, but it's just people like Jerry doesn't care.
Yeah, Jerry loves it, and he just thinks it's hilarious that someone imitates him.
Yeah. I watch him every time I watch him. I'm watching Landman. I saw him on Landman. I'm like, this guy's the greatest guy in the world, unless he runs your football, he owns your football
Unless
team.
you're,
Right?
right. Unless you're
But
GM.
I was watching the same thing. I was watching America's Team, and I was like, that's what I talked about on Rich Eisen. I was like, man, I just wanted to beat Jerry Jones after this.
Yeah, isn't it
And then I
crazy
think-
how much charm
He's had
that
a
he
lot.
has when you watch him?
So he's incredible. Like you're watching him and going, man, how does anybody dislike this guy? How could you possibly find a person who dislikes this guy even a little bit?
Matt
so then-
didn't
Such a good
find you
salesman.
funny, did he? Matt?
Yeah, I thought Madden
No,
had
Madden
a
didn't like me at
problem.
all. No, I was going to say that too. Madden didn't like me at all. But I finally made his grandkids laugh, and he's like, "I get it now." It was like that kind of a thing.
Okay.
His son wanted me to do his 75th birthday after I met him. I was like, "Well, you should ask John that first." And then it never ended up happening. But
So apparently he asked him.
yeah, it was one of those things where I think he was kind of okay once he met me, but he just didn't want it around. And I think he told so many people he didn't like it. Because I remember him talking I heard a story where he's talking to Aikman. You ever get Caliendo'd?
Oh, really?
Where Caliendo, starts to talk like you, and people think that what he's saying is what you're saying, and you're not saying those things, and then they say you said those things, and you don't remember saying them, and then you look like an ass.
How would Troy respond to that?
I don't know. I have no
Oh
idea.
my gosh, he's bailing out from it.
Hey, you guys have talked about the physical aspect of doing a voice. Frank, you mentioned the facial expressions, and I'm interested to know how physical it is. Like, do you guys need to contort yourself, your body? Do you need to be standing or sitting, or to make that voice appear?
Well, we touched on it slightly before, but with the mouth, but it does help. If you get into the physicality of the character, to me, it 100% it puts you in a mode to just think like you are that person. I see the person in front of me. So if I'm doing it, it's almost like I'm looking in a mirror and they're looking back. That's why whenever I see video of myself, I'm like, that's not very good. Because I see the actual person while I'm doing it.
Okay.
And I look at it. It's almost like an out-of-body type of thing, looking down on it. So, yes, if I contort my body a certain way, I'm like, okay, now everything else, all the other physical traits, including stuff in throat and mouth, that all gets into place, and it triggers it to be able to go right away.
Well, I think that's a good question, because sometimes I do stand up. Like with Saban, I try to stand up because I envision him talking to his team or a press conference or something like that. So with me, posture is a big thing that I don't work on it enough.
Yeah, and I know when I do fake Jerry.
Wait, you do a Jerry?
Yeah, unfortunately.
I've never seen any comments about that online.
I always have to do the sideways mouth and talk. You know, that smile that he does that we saw all throughout that documentary.
I'm smiling.
Yeah, I'm smiling when I say that. And he always does that crooked smile on one side of his face. He just makes a big O with one. It's like a Popeye face or something that he does. But yeah.
I am Popeye the Sailor Man. I do. I live in a frying pan. I'm strong to the finish because I eat my spinach. I'm Popeye, the Cowboys man.
Hold on a second. Not even close. Scored away better.
He's already writing the tweets to himself now.
Right.
Just to...
Gordo, you've hurt yourself doing voices.
I have. I have to be the only guy who tore a ligament in my knee while doing the voice of a wrestler. It was very strange. Yeah, that was one time. That was a character that I always had to do standing up. It was a wrestler character, the official wrestler of our show. Big Dick Glover is his last name.
Oh, my gosh.
And
Big Dick Glover.
and that's not cheap at all. And so, yeah, when I do him, I'm standing up and everything. And his big, I forget what his catchphrase was. Do you
hear the words?
Do you experience, what was it? Do you olfactory sense the experience that the Big Dick Lover is? It was some takeoff on what The Rock always says, but it was overly worded and full of 50-cent words. But yeah, I have to stand up and I'm yelling at the top of my lungs to the ceiling, and I bent back so far and twisted my leg at the same time and popped a ligament right in the middle of a bit one time. It's crazy.
Also in the physical realm, how much do you notice as we all age, your voice changing, and does that hinder you from doing some voices?
Absolutely, for me.
Yeah.
Because I never took care of my voice. We would do these impersonations, and half the characters were always screaming, and I never thought about it or cared about the protection of my voice, even though that is our primary instrument, being broadcasters. And yeah, now I notice my voice just does not bounce back from characters like it used to. And I'll be hoarse for the rest of the day after some of these characters.
Yeah.
The high notes for me are harder to hit than they used to be, trying to get up to some of those. And a raspiness hits earlier with some characters. Like, it's interesting because I'll talk for a while and then my voice, right now I have a good, I don't know what the word is, but which seems to be the theme of half of this.
Those words are so hard.
But I can have a crispiness in my throat right now where I can get this stuff, and in a little bit it'll be gone where there's only the rasp. So like an easy one, like a Jack Nicholson, there's a crispness to it. Just trying to get through it here, but you can hear this part of it, and then later it'll be, it'll have more of this in it. And it'll still sound similar, but it won't be as sharp. And that's happened with age as well. I used to be able to just
say and do whatever I want for as long as I wanted. And there was a time where I would wear my voice out doing an impression. And it was almost like I'd wear the muscle down so much that I wouldn't be able to talk for a couple of days. I'd come back and I'd have the impression almost 80% there because I drilled it so much.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does change. And do you change the character as they get older? Like if you're saying that a lot of people do Trump from 10 years ago, when you impersonate him, do you try to do 2025 Trump?
Yeah, I just do current.
I do current. I do what I do. There's a lot of people doing, and you gotta find your own. You gotta find your own way. And I find my own way. I found my way. I got away, and away my way. In the jungle, the quiet jungle.
He does try to rhyme.
Yeah.
And,
The lion sleeps tonight.
Always bluffing through a book report, isn't he?
Yeah.
We got a lot of great people. Great people.
Peas are good too. They're important.
People. Tremendous people.
How do you guys
People
feel
leader.
about tiptoeing into the area of trying to do a woman's voice? I know Gordo used to do Michelle Wee.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about there.
man, you should hear Gordo sing like a church, a woman.
Well,
in-
that's another. He's talking about losing high end. I can't sing those high notes anymore.
you know, yes, you can.
No, it's like I can't do it.
You can still do Blessed Assurance, can't you? That's pretty amazing, though.
That's incredible. I can't do any real female. I can't really do any female impressions. I've tried. I got a friend, Terry Fader. You know Terry?
Oh yeah,
He can sing like so many women. It's incredible. I'm like, I don't have that skill. It's just not even there.
Yeah, no. Me, it's too Muppet voice. Just talking like this.
Yeah.
Or is it
Right.
you turn into like the Monty Python guys just doing a woman?
No, can't say it like that. No.
It becomes kind of effeminate, but not a woman, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it sounds effeminate, and people are like, "Are you doing a gay man's voice?" I'm like, "No, that's my lady voice." Which is, I get offended, and then
Yeah, you gotta be careful on that one. Man.
Are there any new ones that you're working on now?
I mean, there's always a ton. I'm trying to think of who are some of the people that.
Someone captured your imagination.
I mean, I'm still
recently.
trying to find that Saban again. I still want to get Nance to go with Romo. Hello, friends, Jim Nance, along with my pal Tony Romo. You know,
Not bad.
yeah, you can get into it, but it's as soon as I do more, you start to realize it's a fake. Or I'm faking it. Trying to think. Olsen was one I wanted to look at because I think he's really, really good. I think
He is good.
Yeah.
The difficult thing for Greg Olsen is his voice is high. He's got a natural high pitch. If I were him, I would tell him to watch what Matthew McConaughey does in Wolf of Wall Street. That get in here. That's right. You gotta get in there. Find that. Get deeper. Like time, life, like time. Or wait, like time is a flat circle in there. And because a high pitched voice is tougher to listen to, in my opinion, than a deep. Because Greg Olsen, I think, fills the gaps and is like the best. But his higher pitch gets me sometimes. But I'm willing to take it because he's so good at what he does.
Yeah.
And Frank, you've got a big Choctaw gig coming up. We wanted to let you promote that.
Yeah, Choctaw Casino. Thanks for waiting till the very end of the podcast.
We forgot to do it at the beginning. Sorry,
Frank. Well, then I'm just going to beg you to do it on the radio show while you're
will.
promoting.
We will.
FrankOnStage.com for tickets. It just went on sale. I believe it's in Grant, Oklahoma, which I believe is 2 hours from you guys. Maybe
Frank doesn't know where he is, man.
There's a. It's called
Yeah, you just
Stage
go up on
2.
75, past the red, and it's right there.
I don't know. I looked it up. It was about 2 hours from you guys.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah.
It's like 90 minutes away.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a great place. We do our show up there
Oh, you
2
do?
or 3 times a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay, very cool.
Well,
Maybe I'll
Frank,
see you guys at the Super Bowl or something. Are you going
Yeah.
to the Super Bowl?
Hope so.
Of course.
yeah,
if
for
you guys are
sure.
there-
San Francisco this year. If you're
Yeah,
there,
that'll-
let us know. We'd love to hook up with you.
Yeah,
What
I'm going
would,
to try.
I don't mean hook up with you, but see you.
So I want to
How
hook
did
up.
Tom Brenneman describe San Francisco? Didn't he describe that city?
Yeah,
Okay,
but
stay
I
away
can't
from
remember.
that. Stay away
I
from
got him in
that.
trouble.
Oh.
Frank, thank you as always. It's a treat to visit with you.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
You're fun, a friend.
Thank you, Frank.
Funnest
You're awesome.
stuff, guys. Funnest stuff.
The great Frank Caliendo. Thank you so much for being with us. That does it for episode 18 of the Musers, the podcast. Don't forget to subscribe or follow us on Apple or Spotify, wherever you're consuming us. And don't forget, our entire back catalog is also there, available 24/7, in case you missed any episodes. And a reminder that this week, George and Bob will bring you another special Dallas Cowboys weekly edition of the Musers, the podcast. Those drop every Thursday morning. Thanks to our producer, Peter Welpton. Thanks to our special guest today, Frank Caliendo, and thanks to you for listening. Don't miss next week's episode when we visit with our favorite football friend of all time. It's going to be fun.
Terry Bradshaw.
Not Terry, although he knows Terry. And he's got a similar resume to Terry. So be sure you're with us next week for episode 19 of the Musers, the podcast.
Yes, thanks for listening. And don't forget, Frank Caliendo's show in Grant, Oklahoma, happening in March of next year. You can get tickets. Just search Frank on Stage for pre-buying your tickets now. The Musers, the podcast, is a Tired Head production.